So now we want to create a new movie, and this is a very important skill to have as programmers, is that you see we have this form that allows to retrieve data that were entered by the user, but you remember we've also added this calendar that was developed by another programmer. So now we need to be able to mix the data retrieved from this form and the data provided from this calendar. So that will allow us to create a unique, what we call a business object. Why business? Because the business of this app is to handle movie creation. So if we were developing a banking app, the business object would be bank accounts, customers, and all these kind of things. Here, as we are handling movies, the business object we're going to use is a movie. So let's save now in this unique object of type movie all these title, year, duration, genre, plus the calendar value. Because you can see the calendar value is displayed here, but it's living on its own while the form data is living here on its own. So we want to retrieve all this data inside the same object. Saving also is another very specific task that will be outsourced, we could say, to another function. So now that we have retrieved everything, we can call this save movie function. So every function has a very small and limited responsibility. So this is a very good practice. So now what do? We simply want to have a function that allows to save a movie, but it should be passed a movie to save. So it should be passed a movie as a parameter, which means that we need to pass a movie to this save movie. Let's replace this console.log with a movie, because now we know it works. So let's create a new constant that we decide to call new movie, and this new movie is going to be an object that will have all the properties we were interested in. So what do we need? We need the title of title. You see, this is the name of this property, and on the left and on the right we have the title we retrieved. So when you have the same property name that has the same name as this variable in line 17, you can just omit the part on the right. This is a very common shortcut. Same thing for the year, but the year, you remember, is not really a number, it's a text. We retrieve it as a text, so we need to convert it using this number function to a number. So let's pass this year text to a number. We need to retrieve the duration, so we create this duration property which will have a value of duration, the value of this duration typed right here. And then we need to save the genres, but you see there is an issue now. How can we add, because we would like this new movie also to be associated with a specific date, because we want to know when do we want to watch this movie, on which date, because maybe the guy has selected 17 and then filled this form. So how can we remember that this movie should be watched on the 17th? It's easy. You remember on this onSelect function provided by this vanilla calendar, we simply console.log the data, but we want to do more now. We want to make this data available outside of this object. So we will simply create a constant outside of it, and this variable will be named selected date, and we will make it an object itself, simply because we might want to add other properties. So inside this onSelect, we're going to take this selected date, and we decide to add it a property of date that will save the data here, which is the date on which the user clicked. So you see what's happening right here is that when the user selects this date, it is saved inside this select date object that we decided to give a date property. So now you will have an object date, the date that will be January 17th if you click here. So now you can have access to this selected date and save it here as the date. So we want a date that will be the selected date dot date. But it's not enough because it's just a string, so we want to make it a real date. So again, we need to convert it. So we create a new date, and we want it to have a date of the date that was selected by the calendar. So now let's pass this new movie here that is retrieved in this function as the parameter of movie, and let's just at first console.log to see if we have what we expect right here. So let's select, let's say that we want to watch this movie on Friday, and this movie will be named QSD, which will be from, well, we don't really care, let's just put 1903. It has a duration, let's go for 2 hours 15, and it's a COM-ROM again. And when we add the movie, you can see that now on this line we have a title of QSD, it's the case. A date, oh, it's an invalid date. So what did we do wrong? But we can see it tried to retrieve something. We have the duration, the genre, the title. So why doesn't it like the date? Let's refresh to make sure that we are going from a new thing. So this is a date with an object with a date property, and if we post now, go ahead. Now do we have, we have a valid date. So now in the console we should see that we have, let's add the title of, let's say, Ready Player One. So it has a duration of 2 hours 10. A duration, this was not, it was from 2018. It's got a duration of 2 hours 10. It was a science fiction movie. We can add it, no more need for this debugger, and we can see that now what we retrieve in line 36, so it's in the method in which we're gonna save. So it's a movie that has a title of Ready Player One, a year of 2018, and you can see now it's a number because it's displayed in blue while strings are displayed in red. This is thanks to this casting. So we casted this string into a number. So now it is a number. It has a title. It was already done already. Player One, and the date retrieved that is the real date. So now we just have to save it. So let's remove this debugger, which was very convenient. It did its job, and so now we can remove this console.log, remove also this console.log, and we can save the movies inside a movies array that will contain all the movies that are inside local storage, which is a place where you can save data locally on the user's computer. So local storage can retrieve an item. We want to retrieve an item which name is movies, but at first it will be empty. So we need to make sure that we retrieve these movies if they exist. We pass them so they become a string. They become an array of movies. But if there is nothing like this inside local storage, we need to provide ourselves an empty array, because at first there will be nothing inside local storage with the name of movies. How can I be sure of it? Simply by going into going into application there, and if you go inside local storage, you can see there is nothing. There is no data here with the key of movies. Let's retrieve the movies inside an array. So we retrieve either the movies that we found into local storage or this empty array. And how do you retrieve the content of an array? Simply by using the spread operator, using these 3 dots, telling that you want to retrieve all the movies, not an array, because if we didn't have these 3 dots, we would end up with an array of array. So we would end up with an array containing an array of movies. We don't want it. We want to have here the movie 1, which is an object with a title, a year, etc. Another movie, which is also an object. So we retrieve all the movies, and we append to this movie the movie we are currently trying to save. And now we can add this movie to local storage. So this time by using set item. So local storage provides a very simple API, what we call an API, which is a way of interacting with this local storage. We can either get items with the key of movies, or we can set items. So we want to set something that we want to have a name of movies. So you are free to put whatever you want. You could have put AZE and AZE here and there, but it doesn't make sense. It's clear to name these movies. And then, as local storage can only store strings, that's why we have to stringify using JSON.stringify our array. So look at this. At first, there is nothing there. But if we decide to watch Ready Player One, which is a movie from 2018, and that has a duration of 2 hours 10, which is a science fiction movie. Look here, we had this movie, and now we have here this key of movie, simply because we decided to set an item with a key of movie. There is nothing magical, it's simply you who decided to use movies, and then inside it you have this array. So if you click here, that has just one element with a title of Ready Player One and a year of 2018 duration. We know that it worked, but what is disturbing is that you see the form is still filled. So to make it clear for the user that it worked, you can simply reset the movie. So by using this form data, it provides a convenient reset function. You see, when you add the movie, the form is reset, and you can see that now movies contains 2 objects, one for Ready Player One, one for Terminator. Remember that it's a good practice to have functions devoted to specific tasks. So instead of saving the movie inside add movie responsibility is only to retrieve all the fields of this form and the date of this calendar, to make an object of it, and then to call another function that is specialized in saving into, in our case, local storage, but it could save the data into a database.